Hi, I'm Congresswoman Jan Schakowsky, and I'm back with my plans and pans. I hope you had a nice holiday weekend, that you kept warm, and that you had a good time on Thanksgiving. Well, the lack of certainty continues to some extent because we must pass 12 appropriations bills. We haven't done them all, but we did get an agreement with the Republicans, with the majority of votes coming from Democrats, to have what we call a continuing resolution. That is, there won't be a shutdown, supposedly. The dates that we're looking at are January 19th, when we have to get 6 of the bills passed, and the remainder by February 2nd. So we are hopeful to be on a track where there is no government shutdown. This week, it is likely that we will have a vote on whether or not George Santos, the current representative from New York, will be expelled from the House of Representatives. This is one of the most extreme punishments that there is, but the truth of the matter is that this is an individual that has been indicted. This is someone who has been involved in identity theft, credit card fraud, and actually many other things. He has had several names and operated in a number of different arenas. But these are very serious charges and a very serious consequence. We'll see what happens. 7 weeks have passed since the horrific attack by Hamas on the innocent people in the state of Israel. Over 1,000 people were brutally killed. And there is absolutely no excuse for that. But we have seen now that there is a negotiated place where there are now hostages being released. These include a large array of people. There are about 220 hostages that were taken. And so far, 50 have been released because of an agreement. Those can be foreign nationals, a couple from the United States of America. We're so wonderful to see some of them join back with their family. Some Israeli citizens have also been released, and those have been released in exchange for some of the incarcerated Palestinians who have been in Israeli jails, many of them minors who were in jail, and so they were exchanged for the hostages that were released. So it's brought happiness to a number of families, but there are many, many more still waiting. So the ceasefire, in the meantime, that took place, there has not been the exchange of violence while the hostages were released, has been extended for another day or two. And hopefully we're going to see many more of the hostages released. I myself have called for an extension of the ceasefire, and in the meantime, the beginning of more of a long-term negotiation, not with Hamas, but a negotiation that can use the international community, that would involve Israel in developing an end to the violence permanently, that would be marked by a two-state solution, a place where Israel has safety and security from now going forward, and also a place, a state for Palestinians. That may sound like a daydream right now, but if we're going to have a long-term peace, there is going to have to be an agreement that there is a place for both the Palestinians and the Israelis, and an assurance for no more violence. Back at home, I went to Evanston Township High School. This is a place where my children and grandchildren both went and graduated some years ago. I had a chance to meet with Marcus Campbell, who is the superintendent of schools there, and also David Fortransky, who is one of the leaders of the faculty at ETHS. But even better, I got to meet with half a dozen students there and talk to them about what they are interested in. And the issues that they came up with were guns, the environment, women's reproductive rights, abortion, and also immigration, because Evanston Township High School is very, very diverse. It's about 40% white and 60% everything else at ETHS. But the students also talked about how welcoming the school is for everyone. About 50 languages are spoken there now. So it's really a remarkable school, and I am happy to learn that there is now going to be the 100th anniversary of ETHS coming up, and they're preparing now for that celebration. So congratulations, ETHS. Last week, I also had a great breakfast at a wonderful cafe, the Honey Bear Cafe in Rogers Park. Packed in the morning for breakfast, I was happy to see. It's a rather new restaurant. And I got to meet with two of our regional directors. The regional director for the Small Business Administration, Jerry Agripe, and also an old friend of mine who is the regional director for the Department of Health and Human Services, Mike Carbonargi. And talked about small businesses first. Saturday was Small Business Saturday, encouraging people to buy locally. Not necessarily the big chains, but to look at the small businesses that are in the community. And listening to the radio, I think that day went pretty well for small businesses. I know Evanston, where I live, has a lot of wonderful places, and throughout the district, when I go from place to place, I see these incredible entrepreneurs, business people of all sorts in the 9th Congressional District. When I met with Mike Carbonargi talking about healthcare, he said it's very important for people to sign up when eligible to be getting lower cost on the marketplace. And so you definitely want to check out how you can get health insurance at a reasonable price, something that you can afford, because every American ought to be able to get the health care that they need. And we came a long way with the Affordable Care Act, but we have to make sure that everybody takes advantage of those moments when you can sign up. I met in our Skokie office with Betty Bogg and Sue Lowellback, who are the women who are responsible for the wonderful organization Connections for the Homeless. It is located in Evanston, Illinois. And the point that they wanted to make is that we have to go beyond shelters to affordable housing. And I couldn't agree more. In this richest country in the world, at the richest moment in history, there's actually data that shows that if we figure out how we can provide dignified, really affordable housing, it could actually save money rather than having people on the street and scrounging around for a place to stay, like on the L trains. And the reason for that is that it would reduce healthcare costs. People end up in emergency rooms. It reduces crime. It provides an opportunity to deal with mental illness, which is sometimes plaguing people who are homeless. And so the data is in that we could do this in a humane way, actually spending less money than we do right now. And I agree with them that we need to get going on making this better so that all people have a roof over their heads. I also wanted to tell you that I've been very concerned about the issue of income inequality in our country. And one way to deal with that is to have a guaranteed minimum income. Well, what does that mean? Let me give you an example of what we did during COVID. We had what we called the child tax credit. And we said that we know that a lot of families are really suffering, can't put nutritional food on the table, can't really take care of their families, especially their children. And so we set up a program that sent to families that were eligible based on income, $300, $350 a month, adding up to something around $3,000 a year to those families. Sent them a check. There were no big qualifications that they had to meet. They had to establish the age of their children. The outcome of that? Child poverty in the United States of America was reduced by nearly half. And isn't that worth something? And so this idea of a minimum income, which has actually been piloted in Evanston, Illinois, and in Cook County, where checks around $500 a month are sent to families who apply and who are qualified. So Bonnie Watson Coleman, who represents a district in New Jersey, and I got together, and we want to have an investigation of, is this something that we could do in the United States of America to not only reduce the consequences of poverty, to begin to balance the income inequality that we have right now. Income inequality that prevents people from living anything near a secure life. So it's always a little bit of a surprise what the week in Washington will bring. But the one thing you can be sure of is that the next Pans and Plans, I'm going to report on it to you. Thanks so much for listening. Thank you for watching my video. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel and follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, where my handle is @Jan Schakowsky.